Well, hey, gang, Jim Jacobus. Welcome to In the Sales Arena Sales Training Webinar today, March 4th, I believe it is. Kind of lost on time. Just got back from 5 days down in Mexico, so I'm hoping I can actually make this whole thing work today. Really excited about our time together. Glad to have you guys with us, and going to jump right into the content. Got a little feedback. You guys want us to do that right away, so we're going to do it, but I'm glad you're here. And just want to familiarize you with your dashboard there. If you have any questions for us, any feedback, please use that. The more you interact, the more fun this will be, and we'll get a lot more out of it, both on your end and mine as well. So glad to have you here. Let me tell you a bit about our agenda today. First thing is we're shifting gears just a little bit. In the first couple of months of webinars and everything, we have really kind of focused on some real foundational groundwork kinds of strategic information. What are the four key things that we need to learn in order to be outstanding at sales, to be a sales master? We talked about the sales process. We talked about the value-based selling. We talked about developing level 5 and 6 relationships with intentionality, where we are considered partners and advisors. And then we talked about our own proprietary A players only stuff. So we're shifting gears now and moving into more tactical skill mindset kinds of things, which, by the way, as we've done those on our podcast and a couple of other areas, we find out you guys like them better. So at the end of the day, we really want to bring you what you like and what you value. But I will tell you this, all of those skills and tactics and mindset really need the foundation of the strategic in order to get the most out of them. So that's kind of why we started there. But like I said, we're going to shift gears a little bit for you. We're going to do a little bit of review of value-based selling to set up our key elements today. We're going to talk about 3 foundational questions we all need to be asking our clients that'll help us close more sales. And we'll also talk about 1 power question that you've got to learn how to ask. I'm going to really encourage you. I think when we get to that question, you're going to like it a lot. It's a good one. Every time we teach it in our workshops, people are going, oh, man, I got to start using that. And so I really want you to hang on, hear that question at the end, and start using that when you're working with your clients. Okay? So a little quick value proposition review, if you will, so we can set the table for the 3 questions we're going to ask today. Value propositions are all about what's the problem the client has, what is it that we do about it, and at the end of the day, why do they care? Not why do we care? All right. Too many of us sell our products because we think they're neat, cool, slick. We like them. We think they're awesome. Well, it doesn't matter. It only matters if the client thinks it's awesome, and it only matters if it solves the client's problem. So we really we spent some time on this in one of the previous webinars and on a couple of our podcasts. So if you want to review that, I would encourage you to go back and do it. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to why does our client care? What problem do they have? What do we do about it? And why should they care? We organize those value propositions into company VPs. In other words, our company has a value proposition, whether you're large or small, domestic, international, it really doesn't matter. Your company has a value proposition. I am a company of one. I have some part-time employees, some virtual assistants that work with us that I would consider part of our company, but they're all 1099 employees, if you will. I am a company of one, but yet my company has value propositions. Now, if you're one of our Halliburton folks out there, or you belong to AkzoNobel, or you're PricewaterhouseCoopers, all you guys have been attending these webinars, you have gigantic value propositions that come from your company. But I will tell you this, doesn't mean that you have an advantage over me. Depending upon what the client's needs are, being a small company can have its advantages and being a large company can as well. So we need to own those from a company standpoint. And then what most of us are pretty good at is knowing and understanding what our product and service value proposition is. But I really think we have to know that at a deeper level. In other words, what problem does the client have? What does our product do for them? And why do they care about what that product does for them? And more every day, that answer is they want a return on investment. They want good value for purchasing that product. And we have to be able to have that economic conversation that demonstrates we understand the value proposition that the product brings to them. Again, I would encourage you to go back and review our podcast on the value-based selling and review the webinar that we did We talked about one of our clients that had a product, when you paint a vessel with it, it picks up 2 knots an hour. Well, that 2 knots an hour translate into $70 million a year for a company that has 30 ocean-going vessels that carries 10,000 containers at $1,000 a piece. We've got to know that, quote, what we call cocktail napkin economics like the back of our hand, so we can demonstrate ROI of that product for a client. And so we have value propositions that go with our company. We have value propositions that go with our product and service. And the one that I find that's overlooked even more than the product and more than the company is, what's our personal value? What do we bring to the table? And whatever that value is, be it experience, enthusiasm, problem solving, education, background, hard work, integrity, character, whatever that value proposition is that we bring to the table, is not only our value proposition, but it becomes our brand in the marketplace. I just did a podcast that'll launch tomorrow that talks a little bit about this. And I'm working with one of my coaching clients right now is a real estate agent starting up a real estate business. What we did with her is that we decided, who does she want to be in the marketplace? She's very kind, very sweet, wants to take time with people, wants to become the expert in her neighborhood, that she cares about her neighborhood and everything. So we want to be careful to communicate that for her, because that then becomes her brand in the marketplace as a real estate agent, and she will then in turn attract clients that want that brand, as opposed to the team Moores or the team Smiths or whatever, where they have this gigantic team of real estate agents, where you never probably get the Moore or the Smith. You get one of their people that are running around that are part of a large team, which, by the way, has its own value propositions. But if you want somebody that's really going to take time with you, that cares about you, has family, all those kinds of stuff, then our client would be a better choice for you. Well, that's her brand, and we want to communicate that so she can attract people. So we have these personal value propositions I think we tend to overlook a little bit, right? And then we can divide these value propositions into two more categories. One is what we call the Me Too value proposition, all right? That's where we do the same thing our competitor does. There is no particular differentiation between our product and them, our company and theirs, us as a sales rep and them, which I don't necessarily believe that's true. But it's what we call a Me Too value proposition. But here's the deal. If we ask the client great questions, and that's what we're going to focus on today, we ask them great questions to find out about them and their business and what they value, then when we present our, quote, Me Too value proposition, it can appear to have value and leverage our competitor does not have, simply because we did a better job of understanding the client's needs and presenting a laser-focused solution to that need instead of a show-up and throw-up approach. So even in a Me Too value proposition situation, we can appear to have leverage if we do a better job of qualifying and understanding the client's needs, and we do a better job of presentation. But then we have what we call hammer value propositions. That's where we have a product, our company does something that gives us leverage over our competitors. Okay, that is what we call a hammer. And again, hammers are used to open new accounts, to drive business deeper into accounts, to create a large value appreciation for our company, our product, and ourselves within that account. And at the end of the day, I believe that you and I, if we're really good at what we do, we become that hammer. I tell people in our workshops all the time, and I would tell you the same is my hope for you. Now, when a client says, hey, you're 5% higher than they are, you're $10 a widget more than they are, why should I buy your product? I want you to be able to look them in the eye and go, because you get me. And know that that is a big enough differentiator because of the brand that you bring to the table, the quality of sales professional you are, that it indeed is worth that and maybe even more. All right. So we have these hammers and we want to be able to use them as well. But Me Too's can be leveraged if we do a good job of asking the right questions. So we're going to talk about 3 questions, but I want to ask you a quick one. All right, and I want you to respond down there in the question category, if you will. Just answer this. What value do you bring to the table that sets you apart? All right, and again, it could be your company, it could be a product or service, Could be some personal value you bring to the table. So take a moment, look down there in the question, and just type in a word or a statement that would answer the question, what value do you bring to the table that sets you apart? Okay, this is the interactive part, guys, where y'all type good stuff in down here, and I check it out. All right, good. Yeah, I like that one. Integrity, 30 years of experience, 40 years of experience, personalized service. Yep, Les, you do a great job of that. I know that from working with you myself. Okay. I'm young, and that is my value proposition. Absolutely. And again, I just did a workshop for one of my clients, and we talked about how being the new person can be a leverage point if you do a good job of telling people, hey, look, I'm brand new at this, which means you're going to get my undivided attention. I have 3 people over there that have been in sales for a total of 75 years. If there's something that comes up I don't understand, I've got them. But here's the deal. You're going to get my undivided attention. So you can actually leverage being a new person. Absolutely. That's a good one. We have great products. We have great R&D. Yep, absolutely. We're international. You bet. I absolutely agree with that one. Okay, good deal. I want you to have some clarity around the value that you bring to the table when it comes to these value propositions. So enough for the review there. Let's kind of move forward. We're going to talk about those 3 questions, and then I'm going to wrap our time up with that last power question, if you will. So here are the 3 questions that we want to be able to ask our clients, and you're going to see a little pattern here, and that's intentional, all right? Question number 1, what do you expect from the companies you choose to do business with? Question number 2, what do you expect from the products and or services you purchase? And then number 3, I bet you can guess what this one is. What do you expect from me personally? Absolutely. There's a methodology here that we teach that aligns our full understanding of the value that we bring to the table with the questions we want to be able to ask every client. All right. And the reason we do that is if I ask you these questions and I get some clarity around that, I'm going to take you a little deeper in this in just a second here. I get some clarity around that, right? Then what I know how to do is present back to you only the value propositions that you told me matter to you. All right. We want to stop. I'm a big proponent of stamping out the show up and throw up approach that too many salespeople have. All right. We just show up with the client and we throw up on them, hoping something that we are sharing with them sticks. One of the things we've done in several of our different sales training programs, particularly if we have a multiple day program, is we will give the sales reps homework. And what we do in the first half of the first day is the scenario is this. You've got 10 minutes. Somebody has called a new prospect and says they want to learn about your company. All right. You've got 10 minutes that they've given you, and we're going to give you the homework of preparing a presentation in those 10 minutes, in the 10 minutes allotted, however you want to do that. All right. So it's somebody that's called. They want to know about your company. You've got 10 minutes to do a presentation, and then we put them in front of a prospect, and we video these things. Well, one of the things that we are looking for is how fast do they start selling their company or their product. All right. And I would consider that pulling out a brochure. Let me tell you about ABC Company. Let me tell you about Halliburton. Let me tell you about Axel Nobel. Let me tell you a bit about PricewaterhouseCoopers. We've been in business for 60 years. To me, that is selling. All right. So we measure that. I don't know if it would be a surprise to you or not, but it is no longer a surprise to me. 9 out of 10, more than that, actually, probably 95% of the salespeople are selling in less than 60 seconds. Very, very few of them do what we're teaching, which is say, hey, look, I've got 3 questions for you today. I want to find out about you and your company. I want to determine if we can bring value to you, if we can exceed your expectations. And I want to find out if your business would be good for us. So if you don't mind, let me launch into those 3 questions. We actually teach you to send those to the client in advance so they can prepare for them. In that email, we're telling them we don't want to waste your time. We want to make sure that you get all the value out of it possible. I have 3 questions for you. And so these are the 3 questions. What do you expect from our company? What do you expect from our products and services? What do you expect from me? Now, whatever the client says matters to them, then becomes what we present. Again, as opposed to showing up and throwing up. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? If it does, do me a favor, raise your hand there real quick. Look on your little dashboard, the little place where you raise your hand. Okay, good. Hands are going up, making sense to everybody. Outstanding. Good, good, good. I see the little, by the way, you guys know if you've ever done one of these webinars yourself, I have this little dashboard that tells me when you're watching our screen or not watching, which is fine. I get that. I'm kind of like that too when I'm watching webinars. So anyway, okay, good. All right, so we're on the same page here. All right, now, so those are the three questions, but here's the deal. We can't just ask the questions, check off that box, and move on. That's not what we need to do. We need to do what we call going 3 deep to find out where the real answers are, where the real gold is. And let me show you what that looks like, okay? So going 3 deep, when a customer says, you ask the question, what are you looking for in the companies you do business with? Well, I'm looking for companies that are ethics, that are ethical, all right? I'm looking for companies that have integrity. Well, the response to that is, well, tell me more about that. How do you define quality, all right? What would integrity look like to you, all right? Whatever they tell me it matters to them, I'm going to ask them to define that for me, all right? That's the first level that I'm looking for. Now, the second level would be this. Why is that important to you? How does that impact your business? What metrics do you use to measure quality of product and everything? So that's what I call level 2. Now I'm diving a little bit deeper. They're giving me more detail, and they're telling me more and more and more at every level what to present back to them out of my bag of several thousands of value propositions that I might have available to me for this particular client, okay? So why is that important to you? How does that impact your business? What metrics will you use to measure that? And then level 3 sounds like this. So who do you look for? Who do you look to for that quality today? Right? Who do you work with that does a good job of that for you right now? I always give them the chance to brag on the existing vendors that are delivering the things that they're telling me matter to them. Okay? And I always, anytime you're going to ask this set of questions, and the next one is, without naming names, what does that look like when done poorly? Right? I always start off with, tell me what you like about ABC company. Tell me what you like about that competitor. In my business, I'll ask them, tell me what you liked about the sales trainer that you used last year. Tell me what you liked about the person that did your keynote for your event last year, if I'm in the speaking mode. Tell me about the last consultant you worked with. What did they do a good job of? Okay. So I want to find out all of the positives because I want to make sure that I am repeating that I'm communicating. I can bring some of those positives as well. But that gives me the right, okay, anytime you want to ask the negative, ask the positive first. That gives me the right to say, without naming names, what does it look like when it's done poorly? I'll never forget, I did a keynote for a client up in the Dells up in Wisconsin, and the client asked me early on in our kind of interview process as we're trying to determine whether I was right for them or not, you don't play a banjo, do you? And I go, no, why? They had hired this guy to do their keynote the year before that played a banjo, and evidently he was horrible. So I was like, nah, I don't play a banjo. The funniest thing was when I got there, had dinner with everybody the night before I spoke the next day, and I sat down with everybody, and I was introduced as a speaker, and everybody at the table was very nice. And the guy to my left of me looked at me and says, you don't play a banjo, do you? I couldn't help but laugh because I'd already heard the story. So without naming names, all right, I don't want to know who they are because I don't want you to throw them under the bus. What does it look like when it's not done properly or when it's done poorly? All right, so here I am now. I am really digging deep into what they value and what matters to them so that whenever I decide whether or not I can exceed their expectations and whether their business is good for me, the presentation that I give them is spot on. Now, let me give you an idea what that might look like. Let's say one of the things I'm going to ask right off the bat a client is, how will you go about evaluating price? I'm not going to wait till I do a full proposal and presentation to them for them to go, your price is too high. I'm going to ask them early on, how will you go about evaluating price? So when you say price is important, help me understand, how do your company go about evaluating price? Is it apples to apples? Is it strictly the cheapest price? Does overall value play a part in your decision? Okay, that's generally my opening question. That's my level one question. I'm going to find that out early on in this conversation. I'm going to take it a step further. If I were to bring you a proposal, how would you go about evaluating that proposal? What method do you use? Are there multiple people involved in that, or is that something you decide on your own? Okay, so I'm digging deeper into their methodology for evaluating any price that I might bring to them. If the client said to me, well, Jim, you know what? I take 5 proposals and basically I'm just going to go with the cheapest price. I am more than likely going to say, you know what? If that's the case, first, I understand that. I get it. A lot of people do that. That is probably not a good fit for me. All right. All of our solutions are custom made, and we really don't find that we're very successful. And I don't want to waste your time. You might find somebody else that you could plug into that 5th spot that could give you more information than I'd be able to give you. But that said, at any point in time down the road, if you need a custom answer for the challenges that you and I have discussed, I'd certainly like to be involved in that. How's the best way for me to stay engaged with you? I have a monthly newsletter. Is it okay if I send you one of those and maybe check in with you once a quarter? Because if something does come up where you could use our custom service, I'd like to be involved in that. And 9 times out of the 10, the client will go, yeah, I'll be glad to. And if I do continue to pursue them, many times I will get an opportunity where they want custom work involved. And so if I were to bring you a proposal, how would you go about evaluating that proposal is one of my favorite questions to ask. And then I'm going to dive even deeper. If I brought you a solution at a slightly higher price, but I could demonstrate a 4-to-1 return on investment, is that a business case you'd be willing to listen to or entertain? You know what? They almost look like a dummy if they say no, right? So they are now giving me permission to bring them solutions at a deeper level. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Again, let me get a little hand raise if that makes sense. Jump over there, click on the button, raise your hand. Okay, it's making sense. Good deal, good deal. All right. Excellent. Thank you. Good. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure that we're tracking there. So if I'm trying to find out how they're going to evaluate price, then I'm going to use this series of 3 deep questions. Okay. So here's the power question. All right. And the one that I really enjoy teaching, and we call it the Columbo question, if you will. Now, I don't know how old everybody is on the webinar. I can't see your faces. I will tell you this. I know that Columbo is a little bit of an older TV show, and not everybody in my audiences know who Columbo is. And I was made painfully aware of that when some 25 to 30 somethings in a program I was doing recently for Pfizer was like shaking their heads, who's Columbo? And I had to kind of share with them. He's an old guy. He used to do. And I said, hey, look, go to YouTube and look up Columbo and watch how he asked questions, because he was a master at digging up information by asking great questions. But he always did this. He would ask all these questions. He would shake his head. He would act confused. I don't want you to ask confused. But he asked a lot of great questions, and he'd go, well, okay, that's pretty much all I need. And he would gather up his coat, and he would start out the door, and then he would turn around. He would say this, do you mind if I ask you one more question? And by the way, if you sit down with a client and you spend 90% of the time with them talking about their business and about themselves and about what matters to them, you're going to be completely different than all of those other salespeople who are really suffering from show up and throw up disease and are talking about their companies, which, by the way, there's a reason you only get a 10-minute opportunity, is because if you're not any good, they want to get rid of you. That's why we tell you only ask for 10 or 15 minutes. I will tell you this, if you're great at asking questions, they'll let you stay a lot longer than that. But you've done all of that. They really appreciate you gathering a lot of information. You're being curious about them. You're learning about them. You're asking them about their favorite subject, which is themselves and their business and their company. And now you've gathered your stuff up and you're no threat and you haven't tried to sell them anything and you're getting ready to head out the door. And you say to them, do you mind if I ask you one more question? I've never had a single client say no. I've never had a single person that's been through one of our classes tell me that the client said no. All right. They'll always say, absolutely. What is that? And here's what it looks like. I know you have a lot of guys / gals like me coming through these doors every week trying to sell you and your company products and services. All right. However you want to say that. I know you got a bunch of people that are that want to be the keynoter at your next convention. I know you have a lot of people that want to do your sales training programs for you. All right. I understand that. Here's the power question, gang. What is the difference between those that you gladly let back through those doors and those that you never see again? And then just be quiet and listen. For those of you who are my speaker buddies out there, what's the difference between the person that you're going to choose to keynote your event next year and those that will not get that privilege? All right. What's the difference between those that you're going to see again and explore whether or not they could be a partner and advisor to you as a supplier of your products and those that you won't let back through that door again? We've got to learn how to answer that question because we've gathered tons of information, and now this is the cherry on top of the sundae, if you will. This is the question. When they answer that, do what they tell us, and then we have ensured that we will indeed get back through that door again. All right, so question number one, what do you look for in the companies that you choose to do business with? Tell me more about that. Help me understand how you measure that. How does that impact your business? What does that look like when it's done properly? Tell me about the products and services that you choose to buy. Tell me more about why those matter to you. Tell me who does a good job. Same thing, 3 deep. And then what do you expect from me personally? What do you expect from me as your sales rep? What do you expect from me if I were to be your keynoter next year? What would you look for from me personally? All right. So those are the 3 questions, and we're going to wrap it all up with, do you mind if I ask you one more question? I know you have a lot of people like me coming through these doors every week trying to sell you and your company products and services, who want to be your keynoter next year, who want to do your sales training, who want to be your consultant, who want to sell you products and services. But however you want to fill in the blanks there. What is the difference between those that you gladly let back through those doors again and those who you'll never see? All right, the answer to that last question is absolute gold. All right, so any questions you have? Use your little Q&A box down there. Type in any questions you have. You can type in, makes sense to me. Type in fuzzy as can be, clear as mud, whatever. Take a moment there. I've got a few minutes. I'm going to try to answer your questions. We're trying to keep these shorter. And the reason is I know salespeople only have a certain amount of time to invest in this kind of stuff. So we want to make sure we're giving it to you short and sweet. And I'm not getting any questions popping up here. Okay. Nothing. Make up something. All right. Somebody make up a question. I like questions more. I love doing sales training. I prefer questions more than anything else. When will I post this? I probably will. I'll probably have it up this afternoon, George. And the reason is I've got to travel to Dallas. I'm doing a big meeting, national meeting for True Value on Friday. So I'm going to be traveling all day tomorrow. I'll probably get it up this afternoon. And I will send an email out to everybody that's registered. But you can go to thesalesgladiators.com, click on the word blog, and it'll open up a page that you can then click on the sales training webinars, and you can access it that way if you want. But it should be up this afternoon sometime. Okay. At least that's a good question, actually. Appreciate that. Any other questions? All right, let me kind of close with this, and I'm going to keep saying this. This is going to be kind of foundational for us. Here's what we want for you this year. If you're brand new to sales and you've not ever had any formal training, we want to give you some foundation stuff. I really want for you to be able to create the kind of sales career and life that you want. And so that's our hope for you if you're new. If you're one of those folks that are stuck in the middle, you've been at it a while, and again, I'm going to keep reiterating, I think this is the worst place to be. All right, you've been there long enough to know that there are very successful people in your organization, very successful people in your field. They're living lifestyles and creating revenue and helping people, and you're not there yet. That's why I think it's the worst place to be, is in the middle. We want to help you get out of there. All right, we want to help you go to the top and be the very best of the best in your organization. And if you're already the best and you're at the top, we want to help you not just stay there, but we want to help you create numbers nobody's ever seen before. We want you to blow the top off of anything that anybody's ever seen. So that's kind of our hope for you in 2015, and that's our goal. So appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for your time every week. The webinars are growing. Feel free to share this with other people. Pass it on. Send it. Put it out on your Twitter feeds if you want to. Put it on Facebook. If you work in a company with a whole bunch of salespeople, and pass it on to them. Let them register for the webinars. We're glad to have them. And we appreciate you guys. Appreciate what you do out there in the marketplace. Thanks so much for following us. And we want you to go out there and have a great week this week. Next week, we'll be doing our sales coaching webinar, live Q&A, if you will. And so we'll look forward to having you there with us. If you have any questions, go to thesalesgladiators.com/QIF, and you can leave any questions that you have for us there. And we'll be glad to answer those in our sales coaching webinars, if you will, our live coaching. And then also we are using now, instead of the sales tool of the week in our podcast, we're doing the listener question of the week. So we're getting more and more questions, obviously not from you guys today, so thanks a lot. But anyway, just messing with you. Appreciate you guys. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Take care, gang.